Just futurism.
Deveshla, so both English and Russian live stream has been started.
Yes, everything started. Okay. All right. So welcome everybody to this, first session of Reincarnation. I am one of the co-hosts, Dipesh Thakkar. I work for Tibet House as chief coordinator for Nalanda courses. So I think the faces that I see, or I see almost majority of the familiar faces. So you know me, I know you, but perhaps we are hoping that new people will also join. That was the idea, that to connect more and more people to this Nalanda tradition. So this is the first of the series and the first session today. So we're very grateful to Venerable Geshe-la for agreeing to do the series, and then of course, very, very grateful to Dr. Nivedita Chi, who's going to be the anchor for this particular series. Uh, uh, you know, most people, I will leave to Dr. Nivedita Chi to talk about Venerable Geshe-la. And if you are new to this particular culture, in Tibetan culture, we suffix la behind the names, which is a sign of respect. So, and in this particular, talk series, we would, I will leave it to our anchor, Dr. Nivedita Chi. But the idea is that people can ask any question. So, if you want to ask questions, you can raise your virtual hands. We have kept the session on moderated mute and unmute. So basically, you cannot unmute yourself, but so that we keep the session a little decorum. My co-host Nandrullah, who is appearing in the name as Tibet House team, and herself and myself, and we have some IT people. We will manage the microphones, and so I will just give a brief introduction about Dr. Nivedita Chi, and then I will leave it to her to introduce Venerable Geshe-la. So if you address questions, so you can either address questions to by saying Venerable Geshe-la or Geshe-la, both are fine. That's the just a brief idea about the culture. And we are short of time, so I'm not going to spend too much of time. Dr. Nivedita Ji, has been associated with mental health. She's the founder of Earth, a mental health center in Mumbai that offers counseling and art-based therapy. She also runs a course called Applied Buddhist Psychology. It's a part-time introductory course. And in terms of a qualification, she's got wonderful qualifications. She's done masters in medical psychiatric social work, MPhil, PhD from Tata Institute of Social Sciences, and she has more than 20 years of experience, which ranges various mental health issues, helping people, including suicide prevention, disaster relief work, etc. So, and then she's been associated with Tibet House courses for many, many years. So she's also a student of Nalanda tradition. So she's one of the best we could get to anchor this kind of a talk show. So over to you, Nivedita Chi.
Thank you very much, Dipeshla, for that kind introduction. First, most critical question, am I audible? A thumbs up from the video participants will be helpful. Wonderful. It's lovely to see so many old faces and some new faces. I don't think Geshe-la really needs much of an introduction, since many of us are not just students, but also admirers, and he holds our connect to Dharma and keeps us connected there. But it is also an honor to be able to introduce Geshe-la, so I shall not lose that opportunity. Venerable Geshe-la, as you all know, is the director of Tibet House, the cultural center of His Holiness the Dalai Lama in New Delhi since 2011. Formally, after 15 years of study in Buddhist philosophy, he finished his Geshe Larampa degree in 2002 from the Drepung Losling Monastic University, and then joined the Tantric College for a year of Tantric studies. In 2003, the Office of His Holiness sent him to Cambridge University, England for proficiency English studies, and he was a visiting fellow at the Girton College in Cambridge. He has served as the interpreter and translator for His Holiness the Dalai Lama within India as well as abroad, one of the chief editors and co-authors of scientific, philosophical, Buddhist and secular books with prominent professors in the UK and US, along with His Holiness. These books are being used at centers and institutes all over the world to study more thoroughly on Buddhist philosophy, metaphysics, epistemology and science. He's translated several important Buddhist texts, contributed various papers for national and international conferences. His profound knowledge of science and interactions with world-renowned physicists have given him a unique ability to teach Buddhist philosophy with a modern twist that many of his non-Tibetan students, as I'm sure all of us, also appreciate. More than that, what I find most incredible is last week we were in Ladakh, and there I was in a bookstore and I happened to open a book which had a conversation between His Holiness and Paul Ekman. And as I turned open the page, there was a quotation by Venerable Geshe-la. So it felt like also his blessings surround us no matter where we go. And on that note, thank you all for joining in. Dipeshla, if Geshe-la is there, we could begin.
Yes, Kishla is there. Kishla is there.
This is also a very special talk. So just to give you all also a bit of heads up, we are offering this on YouTube live, not just as is, but also in Ladakhi as well as Russian. So a big thank you, not only to Tibet House team, which is making this possible, and of course Geshe-la's efforts, but also to Lamola and Alexela, who are simultaneously translating this into Ladakhi and Russian. So a very, very warm welcome, namaste, tashidelek, jhule to everyone who's joining us online here on Zoom as well as YouTube channels. This year, as you know, we've celebrated the 90th birthday of His Holiness the Dalai Lama and are celebrating this as the year of compassion. And as part of these celebrations, Tibet House has launched this new series of inspiring conversations. So on behalf of all of us, I wish to thank you, Geshe-la, Tibet House team, in particular Dipeshla, Kunkipla, Namdollah, for your efforts, which really allows all of us, I think, this benefit from an informal space to engage with Geshe-la, to ask our questions freely. It's an extremely precious opportunity. So just as we begin, maybe we could just take a moment, deep breath, settle down, allowing the mind to just rest with the body and breath. To know that whatever has happened already in the day is over, and whatever is yet to come is well yet to come. So we can simply stay present. And as we stay here, we can recognize all the invisible hands and efforts which really make this moment possible. Tashidelek Geshe-la. Thank you very much for giving us this opportunity to put you on the hot seat with questions. Many of us are going to enjoy this space, which is more informal and will allow us to ask our queries directly. Usually in most of our classes, teachings, questions are in the last 30 minutes or in the last session. Here, this one is going to be different since we get to shoot our questions off almost from get-go. So it's an extremely precious opportunity and I hope everyone makes the most of it. Geshe-la, all set? Shall we begin?
Yes.
Wonderful. So Geshe-la, we'll start, I think, with the title of this talk itself. You know, the title is How to Joyfully Sail Through the Highs and Lows of Life. And truth is, most of us are starting our day with our phones or devices. We access news, we access social media feeds, other platforms. And most of the news that we see in these spaces is also about disasters or violence or climate change or other news which is disturbing in some format. And while most of us don't want to stay uninformed, so we have to access it to some extent, Is it even possible to stay positive, joyous, or optimistic while we are seemingly surrounded by this kind of news in this day and age? And if yes, how?
Okay. This is a very sounds. This is a very serious question, and this is a reality which we have to face every day, almost all of us. In the earlier days, even if you are not up to date with the current news, it's okay. You can still sail through. But nowadays, we need to have access to all these. Let's say, hello. So let's say that let's say that so for example, say now we do any kind of paying the bills. We have to do that through a gadget. So we have to know these things. If it's not updated, then somehow you will not be a part of the society, and you will suffer loneliness, and you will suffer great stagnation. This is reality. Now, in the end, if you flow with the society, the current society, the digital world, again we see that we go through unnecessary mental tension, stress, because that we are bombarded with the news, bad news, sad news. So that makes us extremely feel low and hopelessness. This is the reality. This is what happens. Now, how to deal with this situation? This is the next thing. So I want to make all these conversations. Number one, I like to thank Tin Shugela Dibeshla, because that this is the reality of the world where people have many questions. And unlike the olden days, we are confronted with many new challenges. And smart people, they somehow they sail through, but not that everybody is smart. As such, many people, they cannot really catch up with the current digital world. So therefore, they suffer a lot. And how to manage with these issues. So this is what Tin Shugela is particularly concerned about. And he asked if there's such a possibility to organize this program. And yes, well, first the answer is yes. And then I suggested to Nivedita's name, that she is from psychology background, and she's constantly meeting with people from different walks of life and having difficulties, challenges. So this is how it came into being. So now the very direct question, the answer to this question is that we need to think of two things. One, that so first of all, we should be happy ourselves. Each one of us, we make sure that we are happy. But I try to be happy, but I'm not becoming happy. How can I expect to be happy with all these being bombarded with all these negative news all the time? And so what do you do with this? So there, keep in mind that finally you have the capacity. You have the capacity. When I say you have the capacity, it doesn't mean it's not exaggeration. It's not a story. That you have the capacity. How? That experiences that we go through. Say you hear a sad news of a war, Ukraine-Russian war, or let's say that the Gaza Strip, or any conflicts, the border tensions happening, and the everywhere happening. So when you hear these things, how can I be at peace, at ease? This can be the question. In fact, recently I received a message from a very compassionate lady, who said that, how can I ever think of, say, the staying, sitting, living happily, peacefully by seeing the young, innocent children and the suffering and dying in Gaza Strip. So how can I possibly think of staying happily? These are the very serious questions. And then the point is that when you say that I stay happy, I stay with peace of mind, doesn't mean that I am indifferent towards the situation. Let's not forget it. There are two ways of sitting, two ways of feeling the happiness. Happiness by being indifferent towards the situation outside. Oh, I don't care. This is their problem. It's not my problem. As long as I am not in the problem, I don't care. This is one attitude where you can still be happy by being not only oblivious, but also indifferent towards the world. This is not healthy. This is extremely harmful to you. Not only to others, it will be very harmful to you, number one. Number two, that where the uneasiness, opposite of the happiness, are unhappiness. So this unhappiness is the result of two factors, like the sound of a clap, two hands coming together, and the unhappiness erupts. So one is the external factor, symbolized by one hand, and the other internal factor, symbolized by the other hand. These two hands come together, invariably the sound of the unhappiness erupts. So knowing that this is the unhappiness, the mechanism of unhappiness, and then of the two, you try to remove the internal factors. Internal factor with only one hand, no sound. Sound of the misery stops. So sound of the unhappiness stops. That is a wise way of creating happiness, where you are happy inside, but you have a great sense of empathy, concern for others. You're not being indifferent. So this is only when you are very strong yourself, where you're not affected, you're not the affected, you feel so down. Only when you don't feel down, you feel strong, then you can help others. Whereas if you feel yourself as so low and the hopelessness, you can't expect to help others. So good people, particularly good people, people who have a sense of concern for others, these people is a huge responsibility you have to make sure that you stay strong, you stay calm and at peace by thinking of these two, simply by, okay, I should remain strong. Doesn't make you remain strong. You have to know how the unhappiness erupts by the two hands coming together. Of the two, remove the external factor is innumerable in number. And what kind of external factors you're going to meet with, we never know. So external factors innumerable in number and totally unpredictable. Then to think of getting into the external factors all the time, it's just extremely impractical reality. Whereas the wise people will think of getting into the internal factors, which is one, they say the misperception of the reality, misperception, seeing things as permanent. Even the situation that is happening around today is impermanent. It's not permanent. It'll one day disappear. And also that, so where the sense of what happened to me, sense of selfishness. When stronger this sense of selfishness, more you will feel affected, more you will feel down when you hear the bad news. So these are the two things. One is misconception of the reality, and number two, the selfishness. These two are the two internal factors. You mitigate the power of these two, then only the external factors are left. The sound, no sound. Sound of the misery stops. So only then you can remain strong. When you remain strong, you have a tremendous power and potential to help others. So therefore, I would say that while this situation is such that you are bombarded with the bad news all the time, sad news all the time, there's a great opportunity for you to learn how to remain strong in the face of the challenges. So with this, when you remain very strong, you learn how to remain strong. Other people, they're watching you. They're seeing you. They see you as a safe haven when they go through difficulties. So this is how we need to learn how to remain strong while making sure that external factors, while we meet with external factors, internal factors are dealt with. So with this, we see that there's a hope that your mind will, although you are in the middle of the bad news situations, but you are not affected, you remain very strong. So a strong person can help, support, empathize with others. So this is how we need to think of. And everybody wants to prove oneself to be smart and wise. What is a wise person? The wise persons are those who actually make things happen the way you like. What do you want? I don't want to be affected by the external world. I don't want to feel demoralized, low. And those people who can actually make it happen. These are the wise people. And those people who engage in things supposed to be given rise to strength in you. Instead, it steals your strength. It makes you weak. These are the unwise people. So therefore, wise people will think of dealing with the internal factors rather than always complaining about external factor all the time. And therefore, those people who only look for the external factors, blaming external factors all the time, these are unwise people, because by doing so, you cannot make things happen the way you like. Whereas those people who actually deal with the internal factors, okay, external factors are there. We cannot show a blind eye to the external factors, but for me to, first of all, to help others to the best I can, I should first of all keep myself strong. How to do that? Of the two factors, the internal factor is something which is in my hand. I can maneuver internal factors. I can change the internal factors. I can mitigate the power of the internal factors. By doing so, you'll be amazed that external factors cannot affect you. And then you see that when others are suffering because of failing to identify the internal factors, failing to do with it, they get away from the internal factors, you truly feel compassionate because you know how to deal with the situation. It works. But you see the others, they don't know how to do that. So therefore, you feel compassionate and you go there to help them by teaching them how to mitigate the power of the internal factors. So this is how we can best help others, and while you're not being affected, to make you feel low and a lack of strength. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Geshe-la, also for summarizing it in terms of not just focusing on internal factors and our own state of mind, but also being able to extend it outward with compassion towards those who've not had a chance or opportunity to study. And also for us to be able to build our increasing capacity. That was very helpful. Geshe-la, we've got two hands raised, one from Andrei Novikov and one from Hans. Andrei, may we take your question?
Да, можно же задавать вопрос, да? Geshe-la, в первую очередь хочу сказать, что я вас люблю, и вы мой учитель. Я вас буду
Geshe-la,
каждый
first
день.
of all,
Это очень
I
приятно.
want to
Простой
say I'm
вопрос.
very grateful to you, and I'm very pleased to ask you a question. My question is how to help difficult people. First of all, to those people who are not interested in receiving this help. They suffer themselves, they have huge ego, and they harm others, but they are not interested to listen. I know that it's not correct to teach other people if they don't have request, if they don't have interest in it. And on the other hand, it's very difficult and complicated because there is a lot of negativity from their side, and they are not ready to change, and they are not ready to listen. But at the same time, just to see how this person is suffering himself and how he is bringing himself to disaster, it's complicated. So please advise what can we do in such situations?
Okay, thank you, Andrea. The question is very serious question, very important question, very serious question. I say you want to help others, and if the others are receptive to your help, very easy. But the other person is suffering, and you want to help, you go there, but the other person is not ready to listen to you, not eager to seek help from you, and you go to help, then it can create more disaster rather than help. So under such situation, what should we do? This is a very, very, very serious question. So this reminds me of the one incident. Where okay, these are the things that we need to learn from the anecdotes, and these are the real the stories.
We've lost Geshe-la's audio, I think.
Yes, Kishla, we can't hear you. We still cannot hear you, Gishla. Seringla or Kendullah, if you can please check.
Devishla, Sringla is here and trying to resolve the issue.
Thank you.
So while our IT is fixing, for many of you, maybe this is the first time you're listening to simultaneous translation. So there is an icon called interpretation in your Zoom session. There's a button, small like a globe icon. If you choose that and choose your language as English, you'll be able to hear the reverse translation. Like Andreela asked the question in Russian, and the translation was done from Russian to English. So if you choose English, then only you'll be able to hear. Okay.
Hello.
Yes, Kishla, we can hear you.
Can you hear me?
Yes, Kishla, we can hear you.
Okay, thank you.
We've
Okay,
lost your
so-
video. Yes, Kishla, now the video is also okay. Thank you.
Okay, so what I was saying is that okay, did you hear this? Me paraphrasing question? You heard it? You already heard it? Good. So next part is, this reminded me of the one anecdote where a young man, he must be in his early 20s, and in the history of his family, he was the first one to get a government job. And from very simple village, very poor village. And then he rose in position and eventually became like a small governor of a village. And then his parents, his uncles, they were once together as one family. And particularly his uncle, was driving a motorcycle, but because they suffered poverty to a great extent when they were young. So this uncle was buying the petrol, just I think about like 220, no, maybe like 100 ml, 100 ml of petroleum, very less amount, with 2 rupees, in 2 rupees. And this young man, now being government official, he's getting a handsome salary. So now look, if he goes to the uncle, says that, uncle, please don't do that, I'll support you, the uncle will not be happy to receive the support from his nephew. He will not be happy. So he's not ready to receive the direct benefit from his nephew, but his nephew wants to help him. So how to help? So what he did was that he went to the petrol station himself, gas station himself, and met with the boss, the owner of the petrol pump, and told him that there's one gentleman coming to buy a petrol for 2 rupees. And the owner, the gas pump owner said, yes, sir, yes, I know him. And then this young man said that he's my uncle. And this, in the first place, petrol pump owner, he felt so honored to see that the boss of the whole village came to his petrol pump. He felt so honored, and then he offered to help in whatever way. He said that, I don't want any help from you. What do you do is that you do one thing, that my uncle, whenever he comes, try to give him, he gives you 2 rupees, whatever amount he gives you, take this and fill his tank full with petrol. And don't charge anything more, and keep a separate file, keep a separate register to say that on this date, I gave him 5 liters of petrol. On this day, I gave 15 liters of petrol. Whatever you have given, just keep a note. And then at the end of the month, I'll come to clear the bill. So this was, and the uncle, he goes there, the next day he goes there, and to his surprise, he got the full tank of petrol just for 2 rupees. And the petrol owner the petrol pump owner was not claiming for any extra money. He felt so honored, so happy. And then this usually is just one day. Now it is good for a whole 1 week. So now look, that the that the nephew is trying to help the uncle, but the uncle is not ready to receive the benefit from the nephew. So what the nephew did is that he made sure that the benefit goes there. At the same time, the person does not know that you're benefiting. This is known as the bodhisattva's way of benefiting others without any expectation in return. So now the question is that if the other person is not receptive to receive your benefit, what should you do? This is the question. So for that, the most important thing is the first, that before you give the benefit, or I'll help you. If you say, I'll help you, and the person is not ready to, person feels more unhappy. Don't say, I'll help you. What makes him happy, do that. Say, I'll not help you, right? I can't help you. If this makes the other person happy, say, I can't help you. I can help you partly. If this makes him happy, say, I can help you partly. The most important thing is give compassion. Feel the compassion, but compassion may not necessarily express, oh, I'm compassionate to you. The person may feel even more offended. Be very careful. This is known as skillfulness. We require skillfulness to, when you render the help, when you render benefit to the other person, we require tremendous skillfulness. The first thing is give compassion the way the other person would receive this compassion from you. Not as implicitly, whatever. It should be done in such a way that the other person will feel your compassion. Once the other person feels your compassion, then sometimes look at the other person's situation. Other person may like to receive your benefit, provided you take something from that person. Take something from that person and give the benefit. So some people, they don't want to take things for free. They would make sure that they want to retain their sense of respect for themselves. They don't want to take things for free. So they give you something, take it, and then feel as though like this is something indispensable for me. So I've been looking for this for all these years, and finally I got it from you. Right? Let others feel that. Let the other person feel that the person has done something so great for you. Then as in return, you can do something which would be good for the other person. Do something to the proportion which the other person would expect. Don't overdo. So this is where, to make sure that you should be like a mother, a child. Some children, they don't want the support of their mother, although the child cannot walk. Little child cannot walk, but would not be happy to take the support of the mother. So he or she would, struggle to stand. So the mother keep watching. Just keep watching, and don't force yourself. The person will not appreciate, will be more angry. So instead, keep watching. When falls, you should be ready to jump to help. Whereas till that point, you let him do the way the person does, as long as the person doesn't go through a dire, the consequences, go through a very difficult situation. So till that point, from your side, keep watching and do whatever you can do without other persons, in other words, anonymously, without the other person knowing that you're doing that. So this is something which is very important. So for example, say, some people, my friends, when they introduce their friends to me, they will say, oh, Tibet House, you have to go to Tibet House, Delhi. There's classes happening. I said, don't make things boring. Always class. Don't make things boring. Instead, I said that I tell the person's friend, that please visit Tibet House. Come for, not for a class, for a cup of tea. Just have a chat, have a cup of tea, and then you leave. So don't force yourself for classes and so forth. The thing is that what the other person wants, you give to that extent, and the other things which are sometimes a child does not know what the child requires. For example, like the education. Child does not know that one has to go to do these studies, long-term studies. Child prefers to stay and play rather than studying. So the parents should be extremely skillful to make sure that the child learns all these things without forcing, without giving the impression that I'm doing something for you and so forth. The skillfulness is required. Thank you.
Thank you, Geshe-la, for highlighting it with this beautiful anecdote. bringing to mind a clear intention and compassionate action, and at the same time, I think moderating our responses. So thank you very much. Hansla, he has his hand raised.
Yeah, hello. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes, okay. Thank you, Venerable Geshe-la. Recently, we were here in Aruba with a group of about 5 people, and we were talking about a number of issues. And during this talk, the issue of reincarnation came up. So I think we covered that. But the response of one lady was really almost freaking me out, Geshe-la, because I can see it from this point of view. But she said, "Oh, I don't want to be reborn as a human being. I just don't. I just don't want that." She did not give any alternative, but she just don't want that. Now, basically, these are all Christian people, so they're looking. They're not no Buddhist background. So I gave some explanation, but I'm sure it was not sufficient, and I would like to have a better way of finding an answer that I can give this lady, since I felt the frustration in her, and since I also felt that I'm giving up. So that is my question, really.
Okay. Okay, Hansla, thank you so much. Okay. So the lady is so frustrated, not wanting to take birth as a human again. And Hansla is frustrated that this lady is not ready to listen further, right? Okay, both sides are frustrated. Okay, how to deal with this situation? This is a serious question. Okay, so the most important thing is they say, let's keep in mind not to impose our belief system on somebody else. This is so important. Not impose our belief system on somebody else. For example, Hansla, you believe in rebirth, but let us not impose this. So the point is that finally, this lady should be benefited in this life and in the future life. Say, from the point of view of the rebirth concept, this lady, although she says that I don't want to come back as a human, but she has to come back somewhere in one of the 6 realms. But it is not that we have to impose this. There's no choice. So the best of the choices is to take birth as a human being. Let's not impose this. Instead, what is important is that to take birth as a human being, compassion is important. Practice compassion. The practice of these love and knowledge, integrity. These are the values which will guarantee that the person will take birth as a human being in the domain of the acceptance of rebirth. So you're trying to help the person to take birth as a human being, and even if the person doesn't accept the rebirth concept, it doesn't matter from your side, as long as you see the element of compassion in the other person, or you can encourage the person to be compassionate. That's good enough. Let us make sure that the person will take a good rebirth as as a human being in the next life, and then continue the practice of compassion to benefit others, to benefit yourself. So the point is that by taking birth what will make the person take birth as a human next time? The cause, just the aspiration, I should take birth as a human being, that alone is not sufficient. Do good things, do virtues. This will guarantee that the person will take birth as a human. Number 1. Then after taking birth as a human, then continue to do something good. For that matter, you can encourage the person to practice compassion, encourage the person to widen, to keep your mind more open, to learn things broadly, and on top of whatever you believe in, you can learn more. There's no harm in learning more. So you can encourage the person in this direction. Then the person do it. For example, say, even if I'm totally against taking any form of the treatment for my headache, or I've had the severe headache and I don't want to take any medication, and then the headache is so severe that I may die. So somebody, even though I don't accept allopathic medicines or anything of such kind. But my sister would very skillfully give me the medicine with the food. I take it and then I'm healed. I'm healed. So the thing is not about that, whether I accepted the medicine, that you should be able to make me understand that this paracetamol, Tylenol will help me. It's not necessary. Make sure that I take it. I take it, and then my problem will be over. That is the purpose, and purpose is accomplished. And they say whether even if the person doesn't believe in the rebirth, but if the person practice compassion, this will guarantee that the person will take a favorable rebirth next time. So this is more important for us. And sometimes, say for example, say some children, some students may have capacity to study like 2 hours a day, not more. Some can study for 14 hours a day. When I was in school, I remember my classmate who was extremely intelligent and extremely smart, he was talking to me about some Indian students who study for 14 hours a day. I don't know where he was getting the information from, but this is, so inspiring. But it's not the case with everybody. Some people have the capacity to study only 2 hours a day. Some have the capacity for 5 hours a day. Whatever capacity you have, you utilize that, study that much, that's good enough. It's not that everybody should study like 14 hours a day. Many people cannot. So therefore, the thing is that as long as the people are doing good, compassionate, so to the capacity the person can do, as long as that person is doing that much, we have to rejoice and feel happy about, and keep yourself happy. Don't feel frustrated. So they just feel joyous that the other person is doing within that capacity. Because if you disrupt the belief system of the other person may feel even more disrupted, even more angry, and even more unhappy, may not come to you at all. So your inspiration, encouraging the person to practice compassion, even that little thing will also disappear. So we should be very skillful to make sure that the person, as long as the person is doing the share, that person, which the person can do, that much you just rejoice in it and you just rejoice and let the other person also be with it, and also believe in long term, not just short term. Long term, if the person is with you for a longer period of time, for example, like if the child is with the teacher for a longer period of time, the child will learn more effectively. But a shorter period of time will learn less. So therefore, there are two things. One, to teach the other person one thing. Number two, that the person will have a sustained learning. For that, person should be with you for a longer period of time. And how can you make the other person feel happy to be with you for a longer period of time? By making sure that the other person feels comfortable sitting with you. The moment the person sits with you, hey, rebirth, right? No, I don't want to hear that. The person will run away from you. So these are skillfulness we require. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Geshe-la. May I request Lina La to please ask the question?
Да, здравствуйте, Гешела. Я очень рада вас видеть.
Tashidelek, Geshe-la, I'm very happy to see you. And my question is, I'm a student of NMC batch 2 course, but I have health issues, and so it is kind of mental issue. And for me, it's very complicated to learn because I cannot think for a long time about some things because very fast they skip my mind. And I also want to ask about meditation on Guru Padmasambhava. If it helps me to reduce my thoughts, should I continue it or not? and how to connect all this with all we study on our courses.
Okay, if Lena can tell us a little more what kind of mental issues you have, that would be helpful.
Ваш вопрос.
Ну, у меня как бы бывают просто какие-то состояния нехорошие. Ну, просто бывает
Lena
аффективное
says, I
состояние.
have some
Вот. Но
not
благодаря
good
практике они практически сходят на нет.
Fi-
А так у меня
some
вообще
affective,
как бы
not good
были
conditions,
проблемы очень
but
большие
due to
с памятью.
practice, usually I
Вот.
can manage
Ну, то есть
them. I
когнитивными
also had a very
способностями
big
тоже есть
problems
большие
with my
проблемы.
memories and very huge problems with my
Когда я
cognitive
училась в
abilities.
университете,
For example, when I
я не
studied at the
могла
university,
сдавать
I
экзамены.
could not even pass exams because of these problems.
Okay, thank you, Lena. Yes, again, this is the real life issue where some people have the memory problem. Memory can be weak, and as such, you cannot, particularly for me to think of doing a medical science, and particularly to study Gray's Anatomy, the big book, the fat book, and that it's not just trying to logically understand it, but to memorize. I can't imagine doing that. So therefore, I would easily quit. They give up doing that. So the point is that but one thing that we all need to eventually understand is that each one of us, we have what is known as the hidden treasure. Each one of us. And that hidden treasure, at the moment, I can see many of the faces from Nalanda studies. So you know that. For those who are absolutely new to this, this concept it will be new for you. And at the same time, this concept is extremely important. This is known as the hidden treasure, which exists within everyone. And if I ask you, say, for example, for Lena, the memory, the issue is there. So if I answer the question, what if you have a memory as the photographic memory, the memory of Ari Manjushri? So what will you do? Then she will say, I'll be very happy. Again, even to have memory is for the sake of happiness. So we see that deep down, we all have two aspirations. So we aspire for money, we aspire for good health, we aspire for the good family, we aspire for good neighborhood, we aspire for good career, and so forth. For what? So that I'll be happy, so that the life challenges will be taken care of. So this is two aspirations. One is to minimize our problems and to maximize our happiness. This is what we're all seeking. And keep in mind that we all have that capacity to minimize our miseries to zero and maximize our happiness to infinity. We all have that capacity. That capacity that each one of us has is known as the hidden treasure. Why hidden? Because it's not manifest. We see that we have so much of problems which can potentially hamper the growth of our joy and happiness, which can potentially attract more miseries. So therefore, this potential is known as hidden. It's not yet manifest. So always keep in mind that the one thing, I would not say that believe in your hidden treasure. I would not say this. What I would say is that try to understand the presence of this hidden treasure within yourself. Try to understand this. You have to study more, particularly be inspired by reading, by learning Arya Nagarjuna's text, which is known as Dharma Dhatu Stava, in praise of Dharma Dhatu. This Dharma Dhatu refers to the hidden treasure that exists within each one of us. Once you get some clue of the hidden treasure within you, then you see that even though you have a memory issue there are ways and means. There are ways and means to revive, to strengthen your memories. If your intelligence is less, or if your thinking is slow, say mathematic problems, or sometimes we have to take quick decisions. And there your mind works so slow that you cannot take quick decisions. Even taking quick decisions and quick and smart decisions, just taking quick decisions doesn't mean anything. You can make a very wrong decision. But a correct and a quick decision is again another skill. Even these we can all build. We can build these skills. So the thing is that to have, first of all, to attempt to build these skills, we need to have a conviction that I can do it. For that, for example, a handful of sand, no matter how much you squeeze a handful of sand, no oil comes out. But you squeeze a handful of sunflower seeds, oil does come out. So we each one of us, we have this hidden treasure of perfect, they say the perfect memory, perfect intelligence, perfect capacity for concentration, and so forth. We all have these potential inside. Because of that, this is known as hidden treasure. If we put the right effort, we see that these will manifest. You see that your intelligence grows. For example, particularly I would say studying Acharya Chandrakirti's text about the ultimate reality is amazing. Study this. In the process of studying this, of course, you have to study with the help of a good teacher, good companion, good friends, good commentaries. Then you see that your intelligence is actually getting sharpened. It becomes sharper and sharper and sharper. You can see that. So how do you know that? After, say, the several months of study, 1 year, 2 years of study, when you meet with other people who you usually consider as more IQ level higher than you interact with them in some say cognitive thought processes, you see that you can what you say is much more meaningful than the other person who otherwise you see as intellectually more equipped or intellectually sharper. So from this, you see that even your intelligence can be sharpened. Your memory can be sharpened. So these are the trainings where we require. But at the same time, don't expect that everything can happen overnight. I give you so much hope and, oh, wow, this is amazing. So tomorrow I'll sit again for the exam and then tomorrow I'll score NMC to 100%, right? Don't expect that. So it's depending on what level of this hidden treasure that you have. So how deeply it was covered by the mental mud. So to that extent, you can you can grow. So the point is that never give up and learn that you also have the hidden treasure. And with this, you see that putting the right effort, your memory can be improved and your intelligence can be sharpened and the life skills can also improve and your mindfulness can also improve. So sometimes, people, what happens is that, for example, okay, let me give an example. Say some people, they are so good in opening things, new things come, they open it and they don't know how to put it back. They're good in opening and see what is inside, and then they're not good in putting it back. They just put it like this, say, it's closed so well, and then you open it so well, you're so good at it, and check it, oh, that's not good, and keep it like this. And then next time, next person comes, next person picks a thing that this is closed, pick it up, and it lifted, and it falls, it breaks, and it hurts. We are not at all mindful of these small things. So therefore, the point is that all these things we can train. Think of others. Others can be hurt by doing this. Somebody can pick this up, and if it's hot water, a bottle of hot water, pick this up, and the water can spill and can burn the whole body. So just think of these. These are known as the sense of concern for others. These are the profound compassion. So all these can be trained. We have the capacity. We have the hidden treasure inside us. We can train in these. You can train in your, and as I said earlier, we require patience. We require patience. And also it is good to think of as what Hansla said, rebirth concept. rebirth concept is something extremely healing for us. And this is something which we can rationally understand. It does not require blind faith. We can rationally understand how the rebirth is possible. If you come to know about it, then your plan is not only for this life, but the future life. In fact, I met with one physicist, a brilliant physicist, and his wife. His wife is a Buddhist and a physicist, agnostic, no belief in religion. And the wife once invited me and said, Kishore, please talk something about rebirth. And I said, I'm very tired. I need a lot of energy to talk about rebirth. And the wife became so desperate and said that, pointing to the husband, saying that he's the one who doesn't believe in rebirth. So I was compelled to talk on rebirth. And so I told how I started my conversation on rebirth with the physicist's husband was that don't start your conversation with the belief that there is rebirth. Start with the question mark. Rebirth, not no. Possible, exists, not sure, question mark. Start from a clean slate. Then I told him that you are a physicist, you are an extremely bright person, you have a gifted intelligence. Somebody with a gifted intelligence, if you use this intelligence just to feel your belly, what's the difference between you and the dog? What's the difference between you and somebody who does not have the intelligence? What's the difference? There's no difference. Now, because that you have a gifted intelligence, you have to do something which the ordinary people cannot do. You have to think of those topics which the ordinary people cannot think. For example, rebirth. Rebirth is a concept which the ordinary people can at the most believe. They cannot think of it. They cannot rationally think about it. But the physicists, you're equipped with such brilliant intelligence to think about these very sophisticated concepts. And number two, these concepts, they say if they are totally useless, no need to think. But it's a very serious matter because whether or not the rebirth exists, this is a big question. And if it does exist, it's very scary because that it is like a small child who cannot think about what after 5 years, what after 10 years. And the child only wants to play, keep playing. So if the mother says that, okay, you want to play. If this is how the child spends his childhood, later one day the child will become adult. And then with all his classmates, they already graduate, they have a good job, and you have to become a totally illiterate person. Then you will blame your mother. But you said that you don't want to go to school. This is I let it. I made you do based on what you want. And what is your response? You're saying, I was a child. You should guide me. You're getting it? So child cannot see beyond today. Elders see beyond today. Those people who only see today, they will not plan for next life. Those people who can see beyond today, they will enjoy this life, plus will prepare for next lives. So from that point of view, then the Buddha nature, the seed of perfection, hidden treasure within us, awakening the potential within us becomes extremely crucial, and then you will never feel a sense of hopelessness. I have the hidden treasure within me, so I can put effort to make sure that this is awakened. Although I have a very weak memory at the moment, but I can work on this to improve it. I can create factors to make it become vibrant later days. Intelligence, I can improve my intelligence. I can improve my concentration. I can improve my mindfulness and so forth. So you become extremely positive and a happy person. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Geshe-la. I notice we have 3 hands raised, Benla, Namsala, and Shmalla. We'll continue for another 10 to 15 minutes, and then of course if there are other questions left, we can take them tomorrow as and when we meet. Benla, may I request you to start?
Thank you, Nivedita, and thank you so much, Geshe-la. So Geshe-la, my question is regarding the karma. So karma is mostly equated with the mental factor of intention, and but sometimes the intention can be very good, but due to lack of skillfulness, the result is not at all good, can be terrible result. So in that case, the karmic result, will it be favorable because of the good intention or unfavorable because of the bad result? And if the result is unfavorable, the karmic result, if it is unfavorable, then how to reconcile with karma being equated with mental factor of intention? Thank you, Gishla.
Okay, thank you. The karma is just think of, say, the people with the, okay, the first question is the karma. Karma is to be seen as the mental factor of intention. And then you can start with a good intention or the good motivation. But due to whatever reason, lack of skillfulness, lack of complete information, then you end up doing things which can be extremely harmful to others, to yourself and to others. So what would be the consequence? Consequence, is that determined by the motivation or by the overall picture of the karma? Yes, this is a very serious question. In the first place, the karma, we need to know what is karma. Karma is the action that we do. It's not only of the past, what we are doing today, right now, that I'm talking, you are listening, we are in the process of accumulating karmas. And with a positive motivation, it becomes positive karma. With negative motivation, it becomes a negative karma. With a neutral, it becomes a neutral karma. So then because of the complexities, for example, like say water, say if the water comes from Mount Kailash or Mount Everest, will it be clean water or dirty water? It starts clean, but then depending on where it flows, how it flows, where it flows, then at the end, after like 1,000 kilometers, then the water may differ. You may not see that these two water, they came from the same source. You won't believe. One is so murky, dirty, with so much of minerals, unhealthy minerals, and the other one extremely clean, pure. You cannot believe that these come from the same source, because two of them met with different situations. Likewise, the reality is that the motivation is one factor. So because of the complexity, in the Buddhist psychology, that is what is known as the 4 factors to keep into consideration. In a very broad sense, 4 factors. One is the motivation. Then number 2 is the object. For example, say harsh word, act of harsh word. What is the motivation? The object, harsh word towards your parents, or harsh words towards the unknown person. The object. Number 3, what is the procedure? What's the procedure? What's the process like? Is it done with acute anger, or it's just in a very funny way you use harsh word, or in a very acutely harmful way of harming the other person? And the result, did you enjoy the harsh word, or you regret the harsh word, having said the harsh word? So 4 things. 1, the motivation. Number 2, the object. Okay, the first, let's put it like this. First, the object, then the motivation, then the actual event, how you acted, and then the result. So considering these 4 factors, and say, in some cases, object can be your mother, where you use harsh word. So because the object is something who's extremely kind to you, so therefore negative karma that you accumulate is much heavy. So we should be extremely careful to make sure that we don't unnecessarily make our parents unhappy by using harsh words. It's very important. And particularly but some of you may disagree with me, saying that, oh, my mom is not the nice person, my dad is not a nice person. What I would say is that till the age 14, 15, 16, a particular, I would say, till age 14. If it's okay, you and your parents, you go along so well, you and your mom go along so well, and then from age 14, complications arise, that is your problem, generally speaking. Till age 14, why it was all right, why it was so healthy, why it was so beautiful? Because you were vulnerable, and your parents, they was doing their duty to make sure that you are being helped. Now, age 14 and beyond, you're already grown up. Although mentally you may not be too matured, but physically you are strong. So you have the capacity to help the parents. Now it is your turn to serve to repay the kindness of your parents. And where the parents still supporting you, and you feel that your parents have been overprotective of you, and then you feel that you have no freedom. So there, they say you think that you are not feeling the freedom because of the parents being very overprotective. In actuality, your parents are actually protecting you. And sometimes it may not be, it's not that always what the parents do, they're correct. No, what are you doing is wrong. This is not what I'm saying. Sometimes the parents, out of excessive concern for the children, that you already aged 15, 16, 17, 18, still, just checking every moment, they're checking on you, what are you doing, and so forth. Sometimes it can be a problem of the parents, and that too coming from their concern for you. So we need to look for ways and means to solve this problem, ways and means to deal with this issue. So what I'm saying is that, so overall speaking, the object is somebody who's extremely kind to you, beneficial to you, and if you do something negative towards that, the negative karma is very severe. And with people who are less connected with you, negative karma is less severe. Then the next is the motivation. Motivation to really destroy the other person, really create so much harm on the other person. The motivation, or just, I should teach a lesson, right? And not really wanting to harm to such extent of making the other, to destroy the other person. If the motivation is less, then negative karma is also less heavy. And if the motivation is so intensely corrosive, negative karma is going to be stronger. Then next is actual event. How you create this problem, how you engage in this on the using the harsh words. Really on the hurtful, or mildly the hurting. So depending on that, your karma is again determined. Then finally the result, that you engage in this negative karma, and then you feel, I'm so glad that I'm able to use harsh words towards my mother or towards that person, so forth. You rejoice in that. Your negative karma is again multiplied. The intensity or the strength, the gravity is increased. Whereas at the end, you regret, oh no, I should not have done this. You regret over the negative karma. Your negative karma is mitigated. So it's a very complex thing. And because of the complexity, the Buddha taught only these four factors, while there can be many more factors be involving what is the gravity of the gravity and the intensity of the karma, be it virtuous or be it non-virtuous. So it depends on, it's not just determined by the motivation alone, motivation and other factors involved. Thank you.
Thank you, Geshe-la, and thank you, Benla, for that question. Namsala, may I request you to ask your question?
Just Geshe-la. My question to you was: is it possible to attain spiritual success and materialistic success at the same time?
Okay, this is a good question. Is it possible for somebody to have both the sides, material success and spiritual success, simultaneously? Answer is very much yes. His Holiness the Dalai Lama. The best person to ask this question to is His Holiness the Dalai Lama. I remember many years ago in America, His Holiness says that We believe in prayers. We have the God of wealth. We have God of wealth, different kinds of God of wealth. But amongst the Tibetans, there's no one billionaire. There's not even a single billionaire. There's not even a single millionaire. Whereas others, they don't have the God of wealth. But there are so many billionaires, millionaires. So his own says that if the Tibetans, we must produce millionaires, billionaires, we must produce. So therefore, there is no contradiction between a material development and the spiritual development. And in fact, the person, the best person to be into the spiritual path, if you are into the material world also, be the most successful materially, as well as be good in spiritual path, so that you become such a role model to the many of the youngsters, that while we pursue material world, it is not necessary that we have to forego of a spiritual path. This is so important. In this connection, His Holiness the Dalai Lama, co-authored by with Professor Lawrence, wrote a book on the Buddhist, the business. The title of the book is Leader's Way: How to Do Business in a very ethical, the spirit of the ethics in business, according to Buddhism. So he's going to explain that in the form of dialogue with Professor Lawrence, and it came out in the form of book, Leader's Way. So it's very, very possible. Not only possible, this is to be encouraged. Not that everybody can go to the Himalaya to become enlightened. Majority will be in the world, in the society. So be a good role model. Be very successful in your material growth, and also be in spirituality, so that many can, after all, this wealth, material wealth, is for your well-being, for your happiness. And the real happiness comes from His Holiness, extremely practical, says that we have the body and we have the mind. For the body, we need material development. For the mind, we need spiritual development. We need both. So some very competent people can be competent in both of these. For example, one of the Buddha's disciples was known as Ananda Pindika. And in fact, he's an ultra-rich person, ultra-rich. And from his many past lives, he said a prayer that wherever the Buddha, you assume Buddhahood and serve the world, may I be always there to be your servant, to offer material, the assistance to you and to your Sangha. So this was his prayer many, many lifetimes ago. And then he was born as Ananda Pindika, and to be the major, the supporter of the Buddha's, the Sangha. So this is very possible. Thank you.
Thank you, Geshe-la. And we have a last question from Shmuel Rupo. May I please request you to unmute?
Geshe-la, what is the difference between the attitude of practitioners who do not aspire to become Buddhas and between indifference towards others?
Okay, this is a good question. Say there are two practitioners. One is okay. There are two persons. Okay, Shmuel, correct me if I did not get you correct. There are two persons. One, who is a practitioner but who doesn't want to become a Buddha. Then the other, who's indifferent towards others. So what is the difference? What is the difference between these two things? Okay, so this is a good question, quite a profound question. The first one, who's a practitioner, Dhamma practitioner, but who doesn't want to become Buddha. So that is somebody who is, technically speaking, somebody who wants to get away from one's own suffering, but who does not really, worry, or who's not really concerned about others' well-being. So that is, in other words, those who seek personal freedom, personal liberation. versus another person who's indifferent towards others. So the difference would be, more technically speaking, the one who seeks personal liberation, not interested in Buddhahood, these people are they're concerned of others because they are practicing Buddha's teachings. They have to practice what is known as, in order to attain this liberation for yourself, what is a factor to make you be liberated is stop harming others. Stop harming others. So stopping harming others, compassion grows. Because what stops compassion from growing within us is because of the act of harming others, the attitude of harming others. When you stop harming others, without the stopping harming others, you cannot attain personal liberation. Stop harming others, it leaves room for compassion. Compassion grows within us. So that person will not be indifferent towards others. But this person may not be courageous enough to take the responsibility of others on one's own shoulder. So here, the person is not indifferent, but is not courageous enough to take the responsibility, the whole responsibility of others, or yourself, although you do feel compassion towards others, but you don't take the responsibility. But on the other side, the person who's indifferent towards others, indifferent and being oblivious, these two are very different. Being oblivious meaning who's more like unaware of what's going around. And indifferent means you know what's going around, but you don't care. So those people who seek personal liberation, although may not want to attain Buddhahood, but to seek personal liberation, they do care for others, but not to the extent to take the whole responsibility on your own shoulder, the way the Bodhisattvas do. This is difference. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mullah, and thank you so much, Geshe-la. I think one of the things which is really quite clear is how much this space was needed and how much benefit it has we've been able to bring to so many of us, because so many questions and nuances got answered. Immensely grateful to you, Geshe-la, Dipesh-la, and the Tibet House team for making this possible, for even thinking about this as an idea where we have an informal space with you to freely ask questions about everything or anything which comes into our mind that bothers us about our daily life. For those of you who've had questions that we've not been able to bring in today, I apologize, but we have part 2 happening tomorrow, so please join in. You have now 24 hours to think of tougher questions for Geshe-la if you want. Geshe-la has agreed to be a good sport about all of this, so please join us tomorrow, because without any of you, this event doesn't hold much meaning, so this is extremely important for us. Before we leave, of course, as we make prayers for His Holiness's long life, I'd also like to take a moment to just take a deep breath and settle in and really remember how fortunate we are in this day and age to have this space, so we can dedicate the merit which has been generated, and we dedicate it for all sentient beings with just a simple wish. May all beings be endowed with happiness of the causes of happiness. May all beings be free from suffering and the causes of suffering. May all beings never be separated from happiness and the causes of happiness. And may all beings abide in the space of equanimity. Thukjiche, Jule, Namaste, thank you. We look forward to seeing all of you tomorrow.
And before we say bye for today, just a small technical detail that for tomorrow's session, the YouTube link that we published for the English live stream, there'll be a change. There was a technical issue with that. My IT manager informed me. So the best is I'm going to put it in the chat. If you can remember, tibethouse.in/icon, ICON. The latest link will be there. We are calling this particular series as Icon in Inspiring Conversation. Just a catchy name. Okay, so and then if you feel others who want to connect, you basically got a hang of it. Most people that I saw in the session today are from our Nalanda courses, so that's wonderful. Please join tomorrow also. But then, if you can advertise to your friends and family, if they want to join, ask questions, then please do so. We'll be very, very grateful. Thank you.
Thank you, Gisela. Thank you, Ali.